Hello, and welcome to the Albright Scholar for March 2024. My name is John Pankratz. I teach at Albright, and every month it's my privilege to welcome BCTV viewers and residents of Greater Reading to take a glimpse inside our learning community up on North 13th Street, to look at the work being done by teachers and students, and to think about its impact on all of us. It is a cold, blustery day, and this week is called spring break, but I have some hardworking colleagues and students here. An artist's work is never done, and today we're going to talk about the collaborative art of theater making. And I have with me two dear colleagues, Jen Rock, professor of theater and our lighting designer at Albright, Liz Pauley, professor of theater and costume designer, and a student, a junior Ben Galosi, who is a theater and arts management major at Albright. And these are people who have worked closely together over the last year and are working closely together this week and this month in preparation for a new show in April called Urinetown. Let me start with a picture, because all of you really deal with the visual aspect of theater, the things that we see when we go. So tell me what we're seeing there.
This is from The Revolutionists, which we just did last month. And this, for me, this is an example of a beautiful light cue that I don't normally get to write, with the red lighting in the background.
Yeah. There were a lot of washes against that scrim.
There were, yeah. It was a fun colored. It was fun to use color to tell the story back there. Yeah.
And Liz, you have a hand in this too.
Yes, so the cloak here, the cape that our actress wore for this moment, is definitely a piece that every student walked in and said they wanted to steal after the show. It's kind of an amazing, magical piece that we used in this moment that really worked out great. So.
Yeah, it was a gorgeous looking thing. In fact, all the costumes, and I have a few more views of those from other shows. Ben, you're taking your hand at directing. You were a student director for previous shows as well. How do you interact with lighting designers and costume designers?
It's very interesting for me right now because I actually never have before. I have always, in my own work, as an assistant I have, but in my own work I've always sort of functioned as my own lighting, scenic, costume designer, everything. So this production, Urinetown the musical, is my first experience with that, and it's an interesting show for it. Because I think it's one of those shows that really calls for a unique style that kind of, and various unique styles that kind of rub up against each other. And it's a show that is so specific, and the approach that I am taking towards it is, extremely rooted in a history of very epic theater and the theater of Bertolt Brecht. So in a way, there's always this extra collaborator in the room with us that is Bertolt Brecht.
Kind of historical precedent.
Yes, exactly. So that has been interesting, and I think we're grappling with the theatrical ideas and theories that he set forth, and we're seeing how they apply in this show and apply today. So there's a part of this that's an experiment. It's an exercise, and I look forward to seeing the results. And I think it's all going to come together and clash and be really interesting, and I think challenging above all for audience members.
Fun. Sometimes collaboration involves clashing of different aesthetics as well. Liz, you've sort of been in Ben's position before. You're an Albright graduate, but then you went on to do lots of other training and had wonderful experiences. Tell us a little bit about what you bring back to your alma mater.
Yes, so it is nice to come back after having worked professionally and in other academic institutions, but I do have a special kind of relationship with the students as far as knowing what it's like to be that student designer, working with faculty designers, faculty directors around you, and it is a balancing act because you are still learning and there's so much that you want to learn from everyone, but especially in your case of being a student director, we're looking at you too for answers, and that can be a little bit challenging and intimidating as a student, but I think that we do hopefully a nice job of setting up an atmosphere that feels safe for you to do that and safe for you to ask questions and explore things. And I like your idea of this being an experiment. Everything doesn't have a set answer of how it's going to turn out, and your learning and your process is a big part of that. So I think it's exciting. I like when we work with student designers, student directors, because that really is the mission of our department, and it felt that way as a student there, and I hope to bring that forward now as a faculty in the theater department.
Yeah.
So.
You also have a wonderful group of student costume builders and workers. I should mention that the theatrical costume department is now part of the theater department. It used to sort of straddle that line between theater and our award-winning fashion department, but now it's squarely in theater, and you've got people who really know how to sew and cut and
Yes.
shape and drape.
Yeah, the hands-on learning aspect of the costume department is really helpful, I think, because as much as you can learn from a class project and from thinking about things and maybe doing things, when you have that production deadline and you are actually making a thing and seeing it on an actor and seeing it on stage under lights and showing it to a director, it just kind of changes the whole game. And it changes the level of their portfolio when they're getting out of school too.
Exactly. Let me turn to one more image here, and this is again from the Revolutionists, and this is Miley in her Marie Antoinette creation. Did you make that with whipped cream and
We
cake
definitely.
piping?
We definitely wanted it to look frosted. That's
Yeah.
a word that we use when we're adding all of the trim, all of the embellishments, and everything that goes into it. One of our more senior students, Bella Bohm, created this and built all of the pieces of it. And it was definitely probably one of the most challenging projects on the show. And we haven't really done together, the group of students I have now, a period piece, a real historical piece. So with the size of this cast for the Revolutionists, we were really able to kind of go for it. And I think everybody learned a lot, and we were really happy with the result. And Miley did a wonderful job of kind of using her costume to her advantage
Yes,
on
she
stage.
did. Yes, she did. All of the ribbons and
Yes.
everything, and that incredible wig. Yeah. This was a fun show to light too.
Oh, it was. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And it took me a little while to kind of figure out what I wanted to say with this show. So I got to collaborate very closely with Matt Fotis, our director, in telling this story. So, yeah. And it was, of course, a ton of fun to light Liz's costumes. They were beautiful. So you always, as the lighting designer, it's fun you get to do justice to everyone else's work as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And without gorgeous lighting design and really intricate lighting design, the story wouldn't be told. The
Right.
costumes wouldn't be seen, the point of the costumes wouldn't be seen, and then the story itself would be diminished.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, let me call a little more lighting in there. Yeah, let's look at this. This is from last fall.
Oh, yeah. Is that As You Like It?
This is As You Like It, and
Yeah.
there's Ryan out in the forest.
Yeah, and As You Like It was in terms of storytelling with the lighting, it was sort of a simple concept. There's two main locations. You've got the forest, and you've sort of got town or civilization. So it was about bringing into that texture that you can see in the photo to establish that we're in the forest.
Yeah, and there are really no trees.
No, there were
There's
no.
some columns and everything
Right.
like that, so it's really the lighting
Yep.
that conveys the forest.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
this little gobos and everything like that. And it looks like he's climbing a tree.
It does
doesn't
look like he's climbing a tree, yeah.
Yeah. And Liz, that show you costumed in a different way. You found pieces and built some other pieces, and didn't set it in the early 17th century, but in the mid 1930s or something.
Yes, one of the great things about Shakespeare plays is that you can always set them kind of whenever the director and the production team chooses. So for this show, Julia had a pretty strong concept about this 1930s kind of Appalachia setting for the play. And with a large cast like that, it is really nice when we can kind of pull some things and use some things from our costume stock, purchase some things, and then build those pieces that we can't otherwise find. And that way we can keep everything manageable, because when we have, you know, that many actors, the show I think had 18. And then we had double casting, so some of those 18 were playing more than one part within the show. So being able to get everybody looking the way that they need to and accomplishing the costume changes, you really need to be kind of flexible as far as not having to build every single piece. So, and I thought it, you know, it was successful within the concept, again, with the lighting and the other production elements. So.
Yeah. One more look at As You Like It. There's Jenna on the right, and she's Rosalind and the female lead, but here she's disguised as a young man, and it really does look like a kind of 1930s Appalachian.
It does, yeah.
I'm thinking of WPA photographs and that sort of thing. And that was a set by Michael Rhodes, and again, a lot of fun to light.
Oh, absolutely. That background, as you can see, I had a lot of fun playing with the sky and what the sky might look like at various points of the day in the forests.
Yeah. And then some magical, transcendent moments at the end.
Of
where
course,
everything
always.
glows and it's crazy. I know people really enjoyed their costumes. They enjoyed wearing them. They thought they looked the part and looked good in them. And our colleague Jim Spees actually bought his purple pants because people in the audience said, "Oh man, Jim, you look so good in those." So shout out to him. Ben, you worked on Spring Awakening, right? As
Yes, I did.
the student director,
Yes, I
and
did.
so that kind of warmed you up for your turn as a musical director. And again, that was a big cast.
Yeah, that was a very interesting production to work on because it, you know, it was the first time in a while that we've been doing a musical, and we were still sort of, for me, I was still figuring out how to use that space.
Yeah.
And you know, luckily I was working with Jeffrey Lentz, and you know, he has a lot of knowledge on how to use that
The
space.
user of space.
Yes,
Par excellence.
Yes, so I really, you know, got to think about how actors inhabit that space and what it looks like and how to manage large groups of actors, which is very important for working on Urinetown. There's a lot of people in one little space at one time. That's kind of our whole concept. So I really, you know, got to learn about how Jeff listens to the music of the story and how that, you know, informs how he does the storytelling. And it was just a fabulous production to work on. It was beautiful and expressionistic, and I just adored it. And now, you know, we're sort of, this year with our musical, we're flipping to the other side of that beauty and going for something much rougher and uglier, which has been a challenge for me as someone who loves that type of beauty like Spring Awakening. Really diving into what is ugly and rough and messy about this piece, and so that has just been a thrill and such a challenge for me.
Yeah, well, grit and filth photograph well and light well and
That's
costume
true.
well as in addition.
And it's exciting for me to work with Ben on this production. He has so many ideas, and there's so much excitement about this show and the way this show is going to look. And there's also, he has these great ideas about lighting, but he's also learning. So it's fun for me because I get to marry sort of artistry and education.
And your
with
pedagogy
this.
as well.
Right, yes.
Yeah. Now you're teaching a bunch of courses as well.
I am. I'm teaching a few. Yeah. I'm teaching Introduction to Design, or I think we call it Design Fundamentals,
Okay.
and Introduction to Technical Theater this semester. Yeah.
So it's all those aspects.
All of
It's
them,
It's
yeah.
lighting, but also sound.
A little bit of sound, a little bit of, we're going to do some painting,
Okay.
little scenery, little costumes. Yeah, we kind of dip our toes into all of it. It's a good, I go for a well-rounded sort of foundation for everyone to jump off from this class.
Albright has a tradition of really training
fully fledged theater artists. So people who are not simply on stage performers, but also
Right.
know crew, also know all the scenic and technical preparation.
Yeah.
So it's the whole kit and caboodle.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's fun. Next week we're going to be in the scene shop. So some of our performers who have never touched any of those tools or anything are going to get a chance to learn some of those things in a safe, controlled environment.
Yeah, are fingers necessary in the play? No, I'm kidding. We have very safe table saws.
We do, and our technical director, Donald Colinquin, will also be there to help me out and kind of keep an eye on everything and manage it. So
Oh, great.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
And that's important. I think that would benefit the audience as well to think about everything that happens in preparation
Oh,
and
yeah.
all the extra choices that are made before we even see a performer on stage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, Liz, you have some summer plans coming up as well?
I do. I did this last summer as well. This summer I'm going to the Glimmerglass Festival up in Cooperstown, New York. I have worked there starting back in the summer of 2008, and actually Jeff Lentz, our colleague, also has a history there
He does.
performing.
Yep.
So it's kind of a legacy that we have a relationship. Jen's worked there as well. We try to get students up there as much as we can. This summer I'm going as the wardrobe manager. So last summer I was a draper in the costume shop, but I'm really excited. Wardrobe training is kind of a keystone of what I like to do pedagogically. So actually getting to put that into practice and training and working with, both professionals, and we have a strong apprenticeship program up there. So I'm excited to kind of continue the educational aspect, but also, step away and work with other professionals and work at that caliber of performance level.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think it's going to
That's
be
one
really
of the
fun.
major theatrical opera festivals in the country.
Yes.
Yeah, great. And you've also done some writing and book preparation on that whole theme of costume management.
Yeah, so I have a book manuscript that's in the works, hopefully to be published next year. And it's actually about wardrobe and wardrobe supervising, because at this point in the costume world of things, there is no book or formal training about that very important aspect of our work backstage. It's just something that people have tended to learn kind of on the cuff or from
Or on the
another.
fly.
Yeah, it's one of those kind of handed down things that you learn, but there really is a lot that you can know about it and know about the paperwork, the organization, the process that you can do. And even though it may not be everything, it's at least going to be a launching point for people that get put into this role with no training and have to perform at a very high level very quickly. So
Right, that could happen to someone,
Absolutely,
depending
it
on the
happens all the
personnel
time.
in a company. Somebody who's never managed that, certainly a big project, said, "Oh, what do I have to think about? What's the checklist? What kinds of preparation? What kinds of scheduling do I need to do?" That's
Absolutely.
going to be a valuable thing.
I hope so.
And we know that backstage is often a little bit crazy, and so managing that craziness and scene changes and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Wow. Jen, I bet you have a good summer ahead too.
I do. I'm headed back to the Midwest this
Okay.
summer. I'm going to be doing the lighting design for 2 productions. One with Crossroads Repertory Theater in Terre Haute, Indiana. We'll be doing SpongeBob the musical. So yeah, I've been watching a lot of SpongeBob the cartoon to
Good for
prepare
you.
for that.
Yeah.
And then I'll also be doing As You Like It again, actually, with Shakespeare Notre Dame.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to
both of these in
both
central
of those
Indiana.
projects. Yeah, actually, yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. And it's probably an entirely different conception of As
Oh,
You Like It.
completely different. And it's exciting actually to see, after having just worked on a production here, to see a whole different take on it with a different director. When I first started talking to her, I said, what I really need is to take a couple weeks away from this, because the productions kind of overlapped a little. So I said, I need to take a couple weeks and sort of forget what we just did before I can dive back into it.
Right. That's the thing about theater. It's sort of not like a book. I mean, sometimes theater becomes a book, but the onstage art is ephemeral. It's
Absolutely,
there,
yeah.
and then it
And then it's gone. Yep.
vanishes,
Yep.
and it can be recreated in an entirely different way.
It absolutely can. Yeah.
Yeah. Ben, you have some summer plans too?
Yeah.
I should say you're a junior right now. and-
Yes,
and
I am.
You're directing a whole show of your own as a junior, and
Yeah, this summer I will be finishing a production that I'm working on right now of Angels in America at the
Oh, just a small little chamber piece.
Yeah, only 8 hours long. At the Ephrata Performing Arts Center, I'm co-directing that with their artistic director, Ed Fernandez, and it's going to be a huge challenge, and especially doing that on top of doing my musical here, and not getting them too mixed up, and making sure I can be in both places at once somehow is my goal. So this summer I'll be finishing that. Which I'm very much looking forward to because I think it's just a fabulous play that I've been wanting to work on since I was like 10 years old. So, yes.
Right. And you're only 20 years old now.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, well, I know that Ed Fernandez has no problem tackling big challenges.
Yes.
He loves that. And probably some of our viewers have been to the Ephrata Performing Arts Center for shows in the past and perhaps have seen you there.
Maybe, yes.
As well. That's a nice kind of connection to have. And that's sort of the nature of this business. I mean, we're very proud of what we produce on the Wachovia, or on the Albright Theater stage, but the whole idea is to be able to get out there and meet new people and different artists and create those fresh collaborations.
Absolutely, and we joke that there's only 12 people that work in the theater industry, so everybody sort of knows everyone else. And
Right, and that reputation matters.
oh yes, it does.
I mean, the skill, the patience, the attitude that you bring to the task, that gets around.
It does,
And
absolutely.
if you're someone who has the skills of collaboration, then you get hired and hired and hired. And
It's
if you're
true.
not, maybe not.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, how great. How great. Well, theater, of course, is a strong department at Albright. We have a wonderful cohort of students and just some great faculty members. And I'd love to collaborate with you guys fairly often. I guess the other theater news is that a theater grad of Albright from the class of 1992, Saida Ekolona, will be is this known? Has this been announced? Yes.
I think so, yeah.
Will be Albright's commencement speaker in May of this year. And Saida and I have appeared on stage. Saida and Ed Fernandez have appeared together on stage as well. So I know that all of our students and all of our graduating seniors are looking forward to her return.
I'm looking forward to the commencement ceremony and hearing what she has to say.
Yeah. I think it'll be real. And of course, Liz, that's some of what you bring. The fact that you're recognized as an Albright grad who's gone out and sort of conquered the costume world and bringing back all that wisdom. Yeah, I think it works for students.
I hope so.
I hope so too. Ben, remind us of the dates for Urinetown.
Oh boy, you're in town.
You can pull out your cell phone if you want to remember.
I believe that it is April 18th through the 21st.
I think that's right.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I definitely suggest that if you're available during those days and you want to come see a piece of theater that is challenging and is going to, really, really ask a lot of you as an audience, and I hope it's going to be quite funny too. That's my hope. Then I suggest you come. It's going to be a great time, and I hope it's going to be a very thoughtful experience as well.
Yeah, it's provoking, but it also won the Tony Award, right?
It lost the Tony Award
lost. That's it.
to
Yes.
Thoroughly Modern Millie, but it won everything.
That's less
Yes.
challenging.
I know it won everything else, and it was it was kind of a feat for a show to go from the Fringe Fest to Broadway in that way, and so in our production I'm really hoping that we can conjure up that spirit of that 1999 New York Fringe Festival production. Yeah. So yeah, come see it.
Great. And we already know something about the coming season for the Domino Players at Albright, right?
We do. We're going to be doing a classic American piece in the fall. I don't know that I want to give too much away
Okay, don't-
yet,
yeah.
but we're going to
We'll
be
let David
doing
Tanner,
a classic American piece, and we'll have another musical in the spring. And then I think I can say this: our Domino Players student group is going to take the reins and produce a show and direct it and design it and do everything for this show. So I think that'll be a big part of our main stage season next
Okay.
year.
And you two can sort of lean in on that, and
Oh,
offer a
absolutely.
little
We'll be there to
of
lend a
advice.
guiding hand.
so nobody has to fall too far. into the trip.
Exactly. Right.
And in the November slot, we have a devised piece coming.
Yeah.
We try to traditionally include a devised piece somewhere in our season, so that'll be in the fall as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, great. And this against the background of a presidential election and all sorts of
Everything,
other
yep.
bits of interest out there. Well, this has been a great conversation, and I'm delighted to have the three of you on the show because I know how well you work together, and I know the incredible product that you produce at the end of it, as well as the process behind it. So thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank
John.
you for having us.
Thanks to you as well for joining us on this edition of the Albright Scholar. We'll see you in the month of April. Have a good day.